Now, as you know, of course, the Elgin Fringe Festival is going on. It's exciting, it's authentic, it's real, it's creative, and oh my goodness, there are so many different performances out there. And during our mini Fringe Fest interview series that we've been doing here on WRMN, we want to give some of the many performers the opportunity to call in and talk to us a little bit about what to expect with their art style and creative expression style that they have with their specific performances. We've had a couple people already, and today we have another very special guest. Please welcome Phil Gonzales. He's a fringe performer from the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Thanks for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Phil, thanks so much for calling in today. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You come from Twin Cities in Minnesota. Is that correct?
I am from Minneapolis. I've lived here since 1998. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. Well, from a little town, a moderately sized city outside of Houston. And that's really the crux of what my show is about, is my life there.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit more in detail, without having to give away too much, a little bit more on what that's about with your performance that's going to be coming up.
Well, so my show is called Trust Exercises, and the delightful thing about spoilers is that it's literally impossible for me to spoil it because every show is different than the last. It's a one-man show about my high school theater experience growing up in Spring, Texas. I went to a rather seemingly normal public school, but our theater was run by and controlled by essentially a megalomaniacal cult leader who, wow. I hate to laugh while I'm saying this, but who wrecked a lot of lives. And so the show I have is a improvised storytelling event in which I spin a giant fortune wheel to sort of walk the audience through the many experiences I and other kids had in this bizarre, otherworldly, completely destructive situation in high school theater.
That's so fascinating, and it's a way for you to express yourself in a very colorful and unique way too. Tell us something that, again, I guess you could say, try to tell us a little bit something that you feel is unique about your story and that's unique about the way you present your story.
Well, because I have extreme attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, I grow bored of performances because if they're scripted too tightly, I get too used to them. There's nothing to engage my mind. I don't get the charge off of them I used to. So I figured out that if I only prepare the tiniest bit and trust myself to just bop around my own memories, I can get from point A to point Z by the end of a show within the prescribed time limit, and just sort of let my own memory do the walking. And that's a way I keep myself engaged. I keep the audience engaged. And I guarantee everybody that they literally do not know what's going to come out of my mouth from night to night. But I do make the promise that I do end on time, and I manage to wrap things up probably about 75% of the time.
Oh, wow. So does that mean you do some of the improv work? So would it be kind of like, so like, would your show be somewhat like improvised not improvised in the sense that you said you don't know exactly where things are going to go?
Right.
Okay.
I've had people. So I originally performed this show at the Minnesota Fringe Festival this summer, and I had people who came to see the show every single performance, and who commented that they were just like, I can't believe that you managed to tell the same story each time, using completely different stories within that story, but you always got it to the same ending. Like, you managed to wrap it all up. But each time you told it from a completely different perspective, with a completely different tone, a completely different mood. Some nights it's off the wall and hilarious. Sometimes it's far more serious, really depending on where I start and where I'm going, and sometimes based on what I had for lunch. I never know like how things are gonna pan out. But I do because the show is called Trust Exercises, and it's about trust and about trusting. I put my entire trust in the audience, and I promise them that everything they're going to see is 100% true as far as my memory serves, and that they can trust me to keep them safe, that I'm safe with them, and that we're all going to have, if not the most soul uplifting time, at least a great time together as an audience and performer.
That's fascinating. So tell us a little bit here, too, when it comes to the preparation process. How do you prepare for a performance like this? Do you have any routines? Do you have any rituals or unique ways that help you to get ready?
So it's fascinating. The last show I did, the show I did before this 2 years ago, I put together entirely with the help of my two kids, my daughters. They were my sounding board and my directors. This year, as they've gotten older and have gotten more lives of their own, I relied on my friend Karina I asked her for help, and we developed a process where I would show up and just basically start talking and telling her stories and spinning the wheel and getting different topics and figuring out basically where I needed to be by certain time limits in the show. I knew that if I had gotten to a certain point in the overarching story by like 30 minutes, that I was on track. And if I hadn't gotten there, I knew to cut, skip, jump around, find a story that fit, that I could wedge in somewhere, and just essentially trust myself to know my own memory. And as I say at the top of the show, I've been performing this show in my head for 32 years. I've been telling these stories to myself and to other people over and over again ever since my childhood. And they started out as funny stories. They transformed into anecdotes. And then there was this realization that what I went through was actually incredibly traumatic for me, and that I'd been hiding those stories behind humor and comedy for so many years that I had formed this narrative in my head. And I realized I was finally at a point in my life, now that I'm 49 years old, where I could open up and the show is called Trust Exorcises because it's an exorcism where I could finally exercise myself of these demons, these weird anecdotes, and sort of set them free into the world, let them go and not have them like define who I am anymore, that I get to define my personal story, that you get to define your personal story, that we all get to tell other people who we are, that we don't have to rely on old stories from our past to define our personalities, our place in the world, to tell us who we're allowed to be, that the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, because we're the storytellers, we get to figure that out. And that's kind of why I do this show, is to tell these stories to an audience so that they can help me process them and then just sort of let them go into the ether.
Absolutely. And you know what? You can inspire so many people out there that you don't even know, and they don't know you, and they listen to your story, they watch your performance, and they're like, wow, you know what? That inspired me to do something like that, to say, you know what? I want to try to tackle these things, and I want to share my story. So you make it sounds like, with everyone here at the Fringe Fest, you make such an impact on the community and what people, how people can view everything that comes with it too. So I give you a lot of kudos for what you're doing, and everyone else out there too.
Thanks. Yeah. I've had people come up after my shows and say like, oh, I actually saw a friend of mine do his one-man show, his solo show at the Minnesota Fringe several years ago. And he's been doing this for years and decades. And I said to him, his name is Brad McIntyre. He's performed at the Elgin Fringe before. And I talked to him afterwards, and I was like, I think I have stories now that I can tell. And so I I put together my first show, and then I participated in storytelling events for a couple of years and kind of found my voice, what works for me, what people respond well to, how manic I can get on stage before people start tuning out, and was like, I think I'm ready. I think I'm set. So I assembled a team. I have my friend Jen, who's going to be in Elgin watching shows. She's going to be helping me on the road. And I hope I have a good size audience that's ready to engage and just have fun listening to some hilariously traumatic stories.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Tell us when you're going to be performing.
Okay, so I am performing Thursday and Friday, the 25th and 26th at 6 p.m., and then Saturday, the 27th at 7:30. I'm going to be at the Side Street Studio Art Gallery at 15 Ziegler Court.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Phil, for calling in today, being a part of this conversation with us and telling your story, giving people a sneak peek so that they can go out and see this magnificent performance. Thank you so much for calling in today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You have a wonderful rest of your day and best of luck to you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.